Serious, people of Reddit that have done heinous things in your life, can you please create a new account and explain your thought process and why you do the things you do without any concern for the others? Don't make fake IDs, unless you want to put people you love in jeopardy and make deals with government bodies. Oh, and also ruin your college major and career in criminal justice. Fun times. Child abuse. Almost 16 years ago. There was no excuse for it. It was a horrible thing to do, and I've regretted it for most of my life. I didn't really have a thought process. It was pure, unadulterated rage at being defied and lied to by people who were supposed to doing what I told them to do. Ever heard the term blinded by rage? That was me. It took going to prison for me to realize I had a problem and to seek help. That was 16 years ago. Haven't raised my hand in anger since, but nothing will make up for what I did to my siblings. So, learn from my mistakes. If you have anger issues, if you find yourself getting angry over the littlest things, if you find yourself needing to lash out verbally or physically when you're angry, seek help, even if you're just lashing out at inanimate objects. That's how it started with me. Man, I wish you could explain this to my dad. I don't need to create a new account to be honest about that time in my life. I already served my time and have since moved on to a very normal life. I engage in the criminal activities I did because the money was amazing and the idea of social responsibility didn't even exist in my world. I was raised to be a drug dealer. My father was a career criminal and some of the first drug deals I ever did were on his behalf. I don't blame myself for going down that path. I found my way down the right path eventually and took responsibility for the things I did and paid the price for them too. Don't always be so quick to judge people. You don't know how they grew up. In a few years it'll be 10 years where I emotionally manipulated a friend who was having relationship issues. I did that because I wanted to spend more time with them. The catch being that it cost me that friendship and made another good friend hate me with a passion. In hindsight I am glad I did it and suffered the consequences. If I hadn't back then I might not have learned my lesson and kept on doing it until I'd have lost every last one of the people I care about now. In 2008, as a 22-year-old drug dealer, I forced my way into a rival dealer's house while him and his girlfriend were home. We tied them up, beat him, threatened their lives, and took whatever money and drugs we could find. I told myself it was okay because he chose to play the game. Getting locked up gave me time to really reflect on my actions and to reflect on the person I was and the person I wanted to be. Today I have a wife, our daughter, a small business, and my family has forgiven me for what I put them through. I haven't done anything violent since that night. As a wee lad I once climbed on top of the roof of my school's pool and dropped a dead raccoon into it from the skylight. The entire building was under quarantine for a week because a heated pool kinda cooked it and the building smelled of rancid meat and a few people got sick from the smell. I did it for the lulz. I don't need an alt account. I can live with what I've done. I mean, you got free from school. That's a good reason. You know what they say, curiosity killed the raccoon. I am female and beat my current GF up in a high school locker room cause I did not come to terms with being gay and hated her because she was gay too. Few years later reconnected and made amends and eventually started dating. AWW, that's kinda cute in a dark kinda real world way. It's sweet you guys made up and then made out. Cyberbullying. I was about 10 at the time and it was one of my first experiences with internet. I used to go to random chat rooms, focus on one person, usually girls, and just started cursing and insulting them until they left. I was really awful, said some really fricked up things which I am embarrassed to write here. I have no idea why I did it. I had a great social life, loving family. I guess it made me feel powerful when other people were miserable. In my normal life I was probably the nicest kid ever. If my mom and friends know about what I did they will be completely shocked. Anyway, I stopped doing it after a few weeks because I started to feel bad. If I could go back in time I would have loved to smack my former self in the head and have a meaningful constructive conversation about the dangers of cyberbullying. Is this the kind of heinous you meant? I was 22 and addicted to drugs and was with a woman who was 38 who was addicted to H. I was basically living at her house with her and her 13-year-old daughter, but I still had a room at my mother's house. When I was visiting one time she went to the bathroom and I went into her handbag. took out her debit card and took photos of the front and back to get her card details. For the next few months I would use my mam's card to buy drugs off the internet. Probably spent £450, $900, before my mother checked her bank statement and realized the money was gone. In the same time period I used my brother's card once for $90 and even my grandmother's for around $200 when she came to visit. I did it because I was extremely selfish and couldn't see past my own needs for drugs at the time. I didn't even feel bad about it at the time because I felt like me having drugs was more important than them having money, and when my mom found out I was mainly annoyed that I wouldn't be able to keep doing it. The woman I was with would steal money from her daughter to buy smack and would go through her daughter's stuff looking for money. I feel awful about it now. My mother didn't disown me or kick me out, so I consider myself very lucky to still have a relationship with her. But the trust was ruined for a long time. Probably still is. If there is ever money missing it will be assumed I have stolen it, but I wouldn't do it now. I'm almost done pulling myself out of the hole I dug myself through drugs, and I hope to be able to pay back the money and the non-financial support if I get the job I'm waiting to hear back from. It was purely selfish to think I was entitled to drugs more than they were entitled to money, but I either pushed it out my mind at the time or didn't actually feel that bad about doing it. There was a period of about 8 years where I was the affair partner to multiple married or otherwise taken women. In fact, I exclusively dated women in relationships for that time. I also very often became friends with their significant others after the affair started. Never got with someone who I was friends with the husband-boyfriend beforehand. I was told on more than one occasion that he's normally really jealous, but he says he likes you and is glad that I've got you as a friend. Usually heard that while we were basking in the afterglow in their bed. For the record, becoming an affair partner is shockingly simple. Befriend attractive, taken woman. Tell her you find her attractive. Don't care that she's married and won't say no or try to ruin her life if she ever wants to start an affair. Mention it casually about once every 3 months or so, but otherwise don't bring it up and stay involved in their social circle. As for my thought process, there really wasn't all that much of one. I liked the thrill. I liked the fact that they not only didn't expect gifts or the like from me, because they're hard to explain to the man in their life, but that they actively enjoyed spending their partner's money on me. Plus the sex was always great. Turns out women in their 30s who aren't sexually satisfied at home are great lovers when they meet someone who is willing to spend more than 10 minutes in bed with them. The only reason I've stopped is that I'm in a committed relationship and I refuse to cheat on her. I was a part-time bully to my sister. Said she was pisser because she used wet herself few times. Called her basically retarded for not knowing how to plug in mouse or keyboard to USB slot. Pushing away from PC because she didn't want to give me PC that I was using and was away from. I regret all of them. I think she remembers but not saying because I didn't get in trouble. I don't think we gonna be close as she is with our brother. I know compared to others this is peanuts, but I regret this, and is one of my self-loathing reasons. Girl in HS trusted me. She was the class president, a cheerleader, super popular. For some reason she confided in me that she had an abortion. I let our entire senior class know. I have no idea why I did that. This was definitely a school that looked down upon having an abortion. Was a pretty dong move and I felt so bad about it I decided to take a long look at myself and decided to stop being such an butt. Can't undo what I did though. I was gonna use my alt for this but I have no reason to. I'm a pathological liar and I cheat my way into anything that I could see as benefiting myself. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the why. I think a lot of what I do stems from how I was raised, not that it was a bad upbringing, just literally the environment. Neither my father nor my mother were very hard on me. I didn't have issues with friends or abuse or anything like that. On paper, I should have been absolutely fine. But I started, well, messing with people. When I turned 15 I started to realize I wasn't ugly. I started hitting on anything that walked, and it generally worked. I realized that I liked the process of finding out how people worked, how you could use people and their emotions to push your own agenda. So that's what I did. I found out people's likes, their dislikes, their friends, things they wouldn't tell people normally, and I was doing it fast. I would learn all about these people who I really didn't care about. I would drop them about a week after I learned what I needed to know. Of course I never knew what I needed to know. I was just trying to find something interesting. I molded personalities to fit each person. It always worked. I used this information to manipulate people into doing things I wanted done. High school was homework, information on friends or teachers that would help me get more information to make my life easier. College led to the same thing. More oriented towards simple solutions to difficult classes. Why am I spouting off? Easy, I feel nothing. And it occurred to me that I felt nothing for a long time. This has led to depression, mild non-addictive drug use, intrusive thoughts, but the same self-destructive personality traits that I've tried so hard to nuke. I'd also like to make it known that it is nearly 6 AM and this is probably written like I'm drunk, but I'm free to answer any questions you could ever have. I've almost killed someone. For the longest time I have had this what I call a person or entity screaming from within myself to harm someone, and I've been fascinated with humans for a while now. I've always wondered, what if I push them to the brink of their life? Just how dangerous does one get? It's exciting. I saw my opportunity. A woman walking home alone almost every night, same route. I know this because she was designated to be my first. I followed her extensively, watched how she walked, what she did, and I figured out the perfect time to go after her. Planning to take a life is not an easy task. The contingencies alone are enough to cause a headache, let alone supplies. However, for the longest time this thought raced through my head, and TBH it made me arouse the thought of no one will know she's gone until it's too late. Long story short, I saw this woman with her child and the most nauseating feeling overwhelmed me, and I broke down and decided I needed help. That I don't want to feel this way or get stuck into that train of thought. I feel just sick and awful about it all. I've been very open about it my whole life and have few regrets, to be honest. I used to be drug dealer in a popular drug city many years ago, and it went pretty deep. It never got to shootings, but there were a lot of beatings and extortions at gunpoint. I've never felt bad about it because it was against wicked people in a wicked environment. The normal everyday working people wouldn't see me. It was only amongst dealers and users, and of course they had it coming. It started with needing money, belonging to a group and feeling cool. It ended with me leaving the country, not to escape any retaliation but just to get out of the toxic environment. I groped girls when I was in high school. There's a lot of setup for this, but I'll keep it short. 1. I had chronic insomnia that probably gave me depression and brain damage. 2. I was bullied and made fun of, and since I was so tired, I just internalized the emotional damage and thought of myself as trash. 3. I got into manga anime and took the exact wrong lessons away from an eki manga I read. 4. I assumed girls thought I was hideous and that I was trash and I would always be marked as trash. Ironically, they actually liked me before the incident. Anyways, that's the setup. Eventually, I just got sick of it all and had the general idea of, if I am going to be seen as trash, I might as well be trash and still get some benefit. The rationale was that I would get some kinda sexual release from groping girls that would satisfy whatever the teenage crap my body was doing to me, and then I would just not do anything. I'm different now. I now see girls as people and not some alien figures. I now know that I don't have to give a dang about the sexual urges I get. I can choose to masturbate or just do nothing. I wish I knew that when I was younger. However, I guess I permanently stunted my ability to talk to women. I'm trying to get a girlfriend now that I think I'm better adjusted, but I guess if I die alone then that would be even better penance for my crimes. I contemplate suicide regularly for reasons related and unrelated to this. Oh well, I guess. It's too bad my family doesn't hate me, otherwise I would have done it already. But now, I work for them and I do good work for them. If I died, it would be difficult for them. So now, I gotta deal with living, I guess. Tough thread. I'm just not gonna respond to some comments directly, because I don't want to attack anyone personally or hurt their feelings. But for a lot of things I'm seeing I have absolutely zero respect. And I would never forgive anyone I knew for doing the things I'm seeing here. But it's good to see the road to recovery is a crap one and that they are trying nonetheless. Might sound harsh, but for me when someone crosses a line, that's it. I killed a stray kitten by choking it in mud and sand. I was experiencing abuse when I did it. I don't exactly know why I did so, but during the process I cried a lot and kept questioning myself, why'd I do this? The exact thoughts were when I was doing it. Just die already, it will be over soon. I had no regard for its life, although I did feel relieved after its death. In the least judging way possible, I really hope you have looked into or are getting professional help. That is not at all normal behavior for a human being. I once abused 2 of my friends' kittens when on drugs, not super violently, but still. I don't even know why I did it, I just sort of did. I've regretted it for my entire life, especially since I have a cat of my own. It is the thing that opened my eyes to the fact that I am an incredibly disturbed person inside, so I try to be better, but there never is a day where what I did doesn't eat me up inside. Not necessarily sure it counts as heinous or not, but I steal things from everywhere. Friends, family, store, I'll take whatever. Just don't feel upset by it and keep doing it because I want more things. I slept with one of my best friends, who was also the girlfriend of one of my other friends. Prolific drug use numbed all of my feelings for the most part, so I didn't feel remorse at the time, and it's been so long since it happened that I've consigned it to history. Honestly, I think my lack of feeling about it now is my mind doing mental gymnastics to not feel crappy. I've tried to face up to it, but every time I try the numbness comes back and I decide I don't care. I think I've got to go a bit further on my journey to being okay before I can think about it properly and constructively. And don't get me wrong, I know it was an awful thing to do to someone I care about. I just don't seem capable of understanding that fact properly right now. I like to drive fast at night. Everybody speeds by 10, 20, sometimes 30 over the limit on the freeway, but the freeway is boring to me. Breaking 100 on every major street is an accomplishment for me. I know speed kills and causes crashes, but I really don't care. I like setting up race courses which are just different routes that are fun to drive and do time trials on. You're a horrible person. I know people who died because of people like you. I hope you better your ways or get put behind bars before anything bad happens. I am a chronic cheater. No intention of quitting no matter how many times I get caught. Reading this thread made me realize how unethical I am, so I guess I'll share mine. Basically, since I could talk, I've been manipulating my brother, getting him to do stuff for me, having him ask for gifts I needed for his birthday or whatever, stealing a little bit of money from him, forcing him to let me play video games, and blackmailing him countless times. As I grew, I started using this on other people, different personalities for different people to get what I want. I haven't gotten into trouble for stupid stuff I've been doing at school. Someone else always gets the blame. There's a slightly retarded kid in my class who I usually bully. I got bullied in the past as well, and once I aggravated him and he started a fight while the teacher was in the room. I hit him pretty hard in the jaw. I do kung fu, while he couldn't even touch me, and the teacher asked me if I was okay. They never expect me to do something bad. I'm in therapy for depression, and I promised I'd study hard and get better grades, which I used to before depression. But instead I've been cheating my way to straight A's. I'm a horrible person and don't intend to change, as it's been beneficial for me. Hey, we've already got to Ask a Rapist thread to show why this kind of question is freaking terrible. Don't be that butthole. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.